So first you're going to start by taking 25 inches of square or round dead soft 20 gauge copper or silver, whatever you want, wire, and you are going to take the middle and form this loop and then form 2 more loops opposite that, and so it looks like a square. Okay, so technically you could do just wire wrap the bezel in a straight line without these loop-de-loops, but I like the way the loop-de-loops look, and then you would wrap it around the stone later, but I like the way the loop-de-loops look, so I'm doing it this way. So you want to make sure the bezel goes just inside the circumference of the square or circle you're doing. And I ended up untwisting the wires at the top. This just makes it easier to get the wire through. Next, we are going to cut 1.5 meters or 60 inches of 26 gauge wire. It looks like maybe you need 2 meters of wire, or maybe 3 meters of wire, actually. And you can put it on the spool. You can keep it on the spool if you want. So now I'm just wrapping this 26 gauge wire, 1.5 meters of it around 6 times around the top part of this square. Two. Three. And let me just get rid of this kink in the wire. Six times. And then, how many centimeters wide is the stone? It's about 0.9 centimeters. Okay, so that's how wide I need the space between my 2 wires to be. And if you really can't control the width between the 2 wires, I'd rather go for more width than less width, because with more width you can always make a kind of bezel around the edge of the stone and have it be that way, but with less width you can't even fit the stone in there. So yeah. So since my stone is 0.9 centimeters wide, I'm going to use 1 centimeter because that's a bit more than I need, or maybe 1.5 centimeters because that's a bit more than I need, so I could just wrap the extra wire around the part that sticks out of the stone. So in order to figure out the space between your wires, you want to put your stone right in the center of them and measure that. And so mine is about 1 centimeter. So then you go across to the other wire and wrap 12 times around that wire. And you can really do however many wraps you want. Just make sure the first wraps you do are half of the rest of the wraps you do. Actually, I'm gonna do 4 and 8 wraps. And I've just put my stone in so I can measure how wide it needs to be. So now that it's attached, I can take the stone out. And you see that it forms a little triangle. So that's what we are going to do. So we are doing a figure 8 weave. And it's called that because it makes a little figure of 8 in between the wires. Now I'm just getting rid of some kinks in the wire. And I use my nylon jaw pliers for this. So just run it through like that. So I'm going to do the rest of the wraps off camera, but it's basically the same pattern. First 6 and then 12, then 12 the rest of the way. And I'll show you what it's like when you get to the corners. So once you get to the corner, you want to cross over to the other side at the opposite, at the next edge, and then continue wrapping as normal. And if you're not at 8 wraps when you get to the corner, just continue wrapping on the next edge and then go back and wrap across to the previous edge and then keep wrapping to the next edge and then go back and wrap to the next edge. So I decided to make my bezel smaller, so that's why you'll see that it's smaller in the upcoming clips. And as you wire weave more, the structure will become more and more stable. And if you run out of wire, like I'm about to do right here, you can just finish that wire off and start a new one. And if the wires are uneven, just pinch them together like this. And pinch them together like that too. And when you're finishing off your wire ends, give a little roll like that in the direction the wire is going to make sure the ends are nice and tucked in. So as you can see here, since I only had space for 5 wraps on this edge, I moved to the next edge, and now I'm going to go back to that first edge when I cross over to the other side. And continue the wraps there. And now with my loops done on this edge, I'm crossing over to the next edge, but still on the same side, and doing more wraps there to complete the wraps that I need to do. So once you get all 4 sides done, you want to trim off the wire ends. Just like so. And tuck them in. Press down on the wire with your pliers. You want to put your round nose pliers in the middle of the bezel and make some divots in it so it can wrap around the stone. Just like I'm doing right now. So you want to make your wires are in this configuration. One wire from one side first, then the wire from the other side, then the wire from the first side, then the wire from the other side. And since this part of my wire kind of fell off, I'm going to make that into a bail. So first I'm going to give it a twist at the top, just to secure it and hold the stone in place. So you're going to arrange the bail wires in a V shape, like that. Then you're going to start weaving. Take your 26 gauge wire and wrap twice around one wire. Twice. There we go. And then also go to the other side and wrap twice around the part there. Then cross over to the other side. It's in a figure 8. The middle part should make a figure 8. And wrap twice around there and just keep doing this until you reach the top part of your bail. So once you get to the halfway point, you're going to bend the wires inward from that halfway point so they form a diamond. And then you're going to keep wrapping, and remember to push the wire down with your fingers as you go. Whatever side you're wrapping on, push the other side down. So once you have the bail done, you want to trim off those wire ends and tuck them in. And you want to take your bail making pliers or round nose pliers, or even like a fat marker if you have one, and bend the bail round it. And then you want to go over here and wrap the wires around the other side of the pendant. Just like that. And you just want to trim those wires, the bail wires, short. Tuck them so that they're inside the bail. And with the other wires, we're going to make decorations. So if you're using square wire like me, you're going to want to twist the other wires now. And you just do that by holding your pliers on one end and just twisting. So I'm going to bring both wires around to one side. So I recorded a video of me making the rose, but it didn't show on camera, so I'm making another one. So basically for the rose, what you want to do is bring both wires around to one side, just like I have here, and put the second wire under the first wire, like so, and then just keep doing that. Put the second wire under the first wire again, and keep doing that until you've made a rose that the size you want to be. I'm gonna get it to the edge, then cut the wires off and tuck them inside the bail. And that is the pendant. So I'm going to do an extra step, and this is optional. I'm going to put this cabochon here. It's an acrylic color changing cabochon, and I'm going to wrap the same bezel wire weave that we did on the edge here around it. So what you want to make sure you do with this one is that you make sure you wrap it around the edge of the stone, as best you can so that it's not too tight but not too loose. And once you're halfway around, you want to put your stone in and keep on securing the stone. Also, I am adding 2 stones on the left and right of the pendant. So this is my finished pendant, and I ended up putting stones on all 3 corners. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.